Title: The Lost Ones. Returning to the Path of Light, Buddha's Teachings for a Life Reborn. Chapter 1. The Fall. Understanding why we go astray. The road to ruin rarely begins with an explosion. It often starts with a whisper. A lie we tell ourselves. This will make me happy. One drink, one betrayal, one shortcut, and then another. Slowly, we drift away from our values, away from peace, away from ourselves, until one day, we look in the mirror and no longer recognize the person staring back. The Buddha called this tanha, craving, the endless thirst that drives us to chase pleasures, possessions, validation, and control. And no matter how much we drink, the thirst only grows. But why? Why do we crave what destroys us? The Buddha taught that ignorance, avidya, clouds our vision. We do not see clearly that all things are impermanent, that nothing external can satisfy the inner longing. So we chase illusions. And when we fail, when we hurt others or ourselves, we fall into dukkha, the suffering of disappointment, sorrow, and despair. This is not punishment from the universe. It is the natural consequence of turning away from truth. Many people today walk in this darkness. The addict who hides bottles in the cupboard, the liar trapped in their own web, the greedy soul who sells their values for a quick win, the lonely heart who uses others to feel whole. Yet the Dharma tells us, no matter how far you've strayed, the path is always right beneath your feet. One of the Buddha's most powerful stories is of Angulimala, a feared murderer who wore a necklace of fingers from his victims. He had lost all humanity. And yet, when he met the Buddha, something shifted. The Buddha did not run from him. He saw through the rage and blood to the wounded soul beneath. With compassion and truth, the Buddha said, "I have stopped. Angulimala, why don't you?" Those words pierced Angulimala's heart. In that moment, the seed of transformation was planted. He dropped his weapons and became a monk. He spent the rest of his life in service and meditation. People feared him still, but the Buddha said, "He who once lived in negligence, but later is diligent, illumines the world like the moon freed from clouds." If a killer can become a monk, what about you? You may not be a murderer, but perhaps you have killed parts of yourself, your dignity, your honesty, your compassion. Maybe you've harmed others through words, neglect, or betrayal. The past cannot be changed. But the future? The future is a garden waiting for your hands. The first step is to stop running. Stop numbing. Stop pretending. Stand still and face what is. This is not weakness. This is the courage of a warrior of light. Chapter 2. The Cry for Help, when the soul breaks open. There comes a moment in every lost life when the soul can no longer bear its own silence. A scream without sound rises from the center of being. It is not always heard with the ears. Sometimes it comes as a panic attack. Sometimes as a flood of tears. Sometimes as a longing so deep it feels like death. This is the cry for help, the soul cracking open, whispering, "Please, let me return." In Buddhist psychology, this moment is precious. It is samma sankappa, right intention. Even before action arises, before words are spoken, the intention to change is born. And from this seed, the path can begin. The Buddha taught that suffering leads to awakening. Without dukkha, there would be no motivation to leave illusion. A hungry soul seeks food. A suffering soul seeks peace. The stories of transformation begin here. In the ashes, in the regrets, in the breaking. Let us remember the tale of the prodigal son from Buddhist lore, a young man who left his father's home, chased pleasure, lost everything, and became a beggar. When he returned in rags, he didn't even recognize his father's palace. Yet his father saw him from afar and welcomed him without punishment. "Even if you come home dirty, I will cleanse you. Even if you come home broken, I will mend you. Even if you forget me, I have never forgotten you." This is how the Dharma embraces us. Many of us wait to change until we are perfect, until we feel strong. But the truth is, transformation begins when we are weakest, when we admit we are lost. If your soul is crying out, know that you are closer to the path than ever before. The pain is not your enemy. It is your guide. And the Buddha, with infinite compassion, waits with open arms. Chapter 3. The First Glimpse of Light, Seeds of Redemption. A single spark can ignite a bonfire in the darkest of nights. The first glimpse of light does not blind you, it invites you. After the cry for help, after the admission of suffering, something subtle stirs within, the will to change. to heal, to rise. The Buddha often said, as rain breaks through an ill-thatched house, passion will break through an unreflecting mind. But what happens when we begin to reflect? When we recognize that our suffering has roots, that there is a cause, and therefore a possibility of ending it? This is the heart of the Four Noble Truths. 1. There is suffering. 2. There is a cause of suffering. 3. There is a cessation of suffering. 4. There is a path leading to the cessation. These truths are not dogma. They are observations, realizations, and they carry with them a quiet hope. If I caused my suffering through ignorance and craving, then through wisdom and letting go, I can transform it. Even the smallest act of mindfulness, a conscious breath, a kind word, a moment of restraint, becomes a seed of redemption. The ground of your life may be scorched, but the seed will still take root. The Buddha told stories of great sinners who transformed entirely. Alavaka, the demon who tormented sages, was tamed by wisdom. Kisa Gautami, a grieving mother mad with sorrow, found peace after searching for mustard seeds from a house untouched by death. Her quest awakened her to the truth of impermanence. All conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. These glimpses of light are not always grand. They are quiet moments, choosing silence over argument, choosing honesty over deception, choosing to sit with pain instead of escaping it. The path begins not when you are perfect, but when you are willing. If you have done wrong, own it, but do not drown in it. Plant the seed, water it with right effort, right mindfulness, and right intention. You are not beyond redemption. The light has already begun to shine. Walk toward it, step by step. Chapter 4. The Inner Battle, Temptation, Doubt, and Discipline. The journey back to the light is not a straight path, nor is it free of thorns. For those who once roamed in the wilds of ignorance, each step forward is often followed by a whisper from the shadows behind. Temptation speaks in familiar tones. Doubt sits like a stone in the belly. The world, once embraced in heedlessness, now tugs at the sleeves of the repentant soul. As the Buddha taught, even as a solid rock is unshaken by the wind, so are the wise unshaken by praise or blame. Yet who among us can say they are already wise? This chapter is for those still becoming, still trembling in the winds of inner conflict. 1. The temptation to return. When a lost soul resolves to change, the past doesn't let go so easily. Old habits return with the scent of comfort. The mind conjures illusions, a friend's laughter during a drunken night, the false sense of power from deceiving others, the short-lived thrill of indulgence. The Buddha knew these illusions well. He named them maras, forces that drag us back into the abyss. But he also knew that awareness dissolves their power. Mara may come, the Buddha said, but I see him, and to see clearly is to weaken the hold. Mindfulness becomes a sword. Each breath in awareness is a strike against temptation. Meditation grounds the soul in reality, where the glitter of the old life fades, and the heart begins to trust a higher joy, the joy of peace. 2. The weight of doubt. More insidious than temptation is doubt. It gnaws slowly, like termites in a wooden pillar. Doubt says, what if I'm not strong enough? Can someone like me ever truly change? Am I worthy of peace after all I've done? But the Dhamma offers refuge. It says clearly, just as a snake sheds its skin, so can you shed your past. No being is beyond the reach of liberation. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha declared, no one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. This truth empowers even the weakest soul. You may have fallen, but you can rise. And if you fall again, rise once more. 3. Discipline, the silent warrior. Discipline is the silent companion of every awakened being. It doesn't shout, it doesn't shine, it shows up at dawn. When sleep still tempts, it returns to the cushion when the knees ache. It says no to one more lie, one more selfish act, one more escape. Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. Discipline helps you find that word and hold it in your heart. How does one build this inner power? Begin small. One honest act, one mindful meal, one generous gesture. These ripple outward, like planting seeds. The harvest comes with time. The eightfold path becomes your compass. Right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. Discipline weaves these into daily living. Slowly, the chaos stills. 4. Stories from the Suttas. Angulimala. Consider Angulimala, the murderer turned monk. A terror to the land. He wore a garland of his victim's fingers. Yet when he met the Buddha, he was transformed. Stop, Angulimala, the Buddha said. I have stopped. Have you? That moment pierced through years of violence. Angulimala fell to his knees and renounced his past. He did not become a saint overnight. Villagers hated him. Some stoned him even as he begged with a bowl. But Angulimala endured. With discipline, he became free, not from others' judgment, but from his own suffering. His story is yours. Yours is his. Redemption is not poetic fantasy. It is a path carved with sweat, silence, and the willingness to begin again each day. 5. Sacred tools for the battle. Use what the Dhamma offers. Mantras like Om Mani Padme Hum or Bado. These still the restless mind. Walking meditation. Each step, a return to the now. Noble silence. In silence, the truth speaks. The Sangha. Surround yourself with those walking the same way. Let the breath be your anchor. Let the precepts be your shield. Let your own suffering become the fire that forges your determination. The battle within is sacred. It is where demons are not slain but understood. And when understood, they no longer haunt you, they become your teachers. Blank. Underscore. Blank. Chapter 5. The Silent Companion, Mindfulness and Breath. There is a companion that walks with us every moment of our lives, gentle, ever present, yet so often ignored, the breath. It does not boast, nor does it complain. It rises, it falls, it holds no judgment, but within its rhythm lies the very key to awakening. Blank. Underscore. Blank. The breath. A portal to the present moment. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha said, mindfulness is the path to the deathless. Heedlessness is the path to death. For the one who has wandered far, whose soul has been bruised by reckless choices and stormy regrets. The breath is the most compassionate guide home. Each inhale is an invitation. Each exhale, a letting go. When you feel your life is spiraling, when you are gripped by shame, by addiction, by confusion, stop. Close your eyes. Place your hand upon your chest. And listen. Inhale. Feel life entering you, not because you earned it, but because it is offered freely. Exhale. Let go of the weight. Let go of the lie that says you are too broken, too late, too far gone. Right here, in this breath, you are enough. Blank. Underscore. Blank. Mindfulness. Seeing without judgment. Mindfulness, sati, is not about forcing peace. It is about seeing clearly. It is about watching the rise and fall of thought, of craving, of pain, without clinging, without fleeing. When you sit in silence and observe your breath, you begin to see your mind's patterns. The looping shame, the fear of being unlovable, the rush to distract or numb. But as the Buddha taught, as a solid rock is not shaken by the wind, so the wise are not moved by praise or blame. When you stay with the breath, like watching clouds pass across the sky, you begin to realize, you are not your thoughts. You are not your past. You are the awareness that watches. That realization is liberation. Blank. Underscore. Blank. A practice for the returning soul. 1. Find a quiet space. Sit or lie down. Let your hands rest gently. Eyes soft. 2. Breathe in slowly. Feel the air entering your nostrils, filling your lungs, expanding your belly. 3. Breathe out gently. Notice the release, the letting go, the surrender. 4. Begin to silently say with each breath. Inhale. I am here. Exhale. I am enough. Inhale. I am breathing in. Exhale. I am breathing out. Inhale. May I return to peace. Exhale. May I return to love. Start with 5 minutes. Let it become 10. Let it grow. Do not aim to fix yourself. You are not a project. You are a presence returning to its center. Blank. Underscore. Blank. The breath is prayer. Every breath is a prayer without words. A sacred pulse of life that says, you belong. When you feel overwhelmed by the memories of the harm you've caused, or the dreams you've crushed, return to the breath. You are not alone. The Buddha breathed as you breathe. So did every awakened being. They walked this path. They wept as you weep. They stumbled, rose, and returned to stillness through the breath. Blank. Underscore. Blank. Even the storm calms. In the Majjhima Nikaya, the The Buddha compared the mindful person to a still lake. As rain falls upon the sea and makes no trace, so do the defilements fall upon the mindful and find no hold. When you live with breath as your companion, the chaos of the world touches you but does not possess you. Anger may visit, but it cannot root. Fear may knock, but it cannot enter. Because you are home, in your body. In this breath, in this moment, blank, underscore, blank. Forgiveness begins with breath. Sometimes, the hardest person to forgive is ourselves. But forgiveness is not a grand gesture. It is 1,000 quiet breaths. Each time you choose to sit in stillness instead of rushing to escape. Each time you witness your pain with compassion instead of judgment. Each time you whisper, "I am here." You are forgiving yourself. That is how healing begins. Blank, underscore, blank. Breathing with the Buddha. In your darkest hour, imagine this. The Buddha sits beside you. Not to scold, not to shame. He simply breathes with you. He does not ask you to be perfect. He only asks, are you willing to begin again, right now, in this breath? If yes, then you are already on the path. Blank, underscore, blank. As the full moon brightens the dark sky, so does the breath illuminate the mind lost in confusion. This breath is not small. It is not passive. It is a revolution of peace within the battlefield of your mind. Blank, underscore, blank. Wheel of Dharma, let the breath guide you home. You do not need to travel to a distant monastery. You do not need to recite foreign mantras. You do not need to escape your life. You need only to breathe. This breath is your sanctuary. This breath is your teacher. This breath is your path. Blank, underscore, blank. You were never lost. You simply stopped listening. The breath was always waiting for your return. Chapter 6. The gentle power of compassion, walking with the world. As a mother would risk her life to protect her only child, even so should one cultivate a boundless heart toward all beings. The Buddha, Karaniya Metta Sutta, blank, underscore, blank. The return is not isolation. It is integration. Once the soul has found clarity through the stillness of breath and the awareness of the present moment, a new question arises. How shall I live now? The mistake that many make on the spiritual path is assuming that awakening means separation. But the Buddha taught the opposite. Compassion is the natural fragrance of awakening. You have walked through darkness. You've confronted your inner demons. You've listened to the silence, breathed through your pain, and now, you're still here. But now you are softer, quieter, stronger. And this strength is not to be used for yourself alone. Blank, underscore, blank. Compassion is not pity, it is courage. True compassion is not condescending. It doesn't look down on those still lost or broken. It remembers. You remember the ache, the confusion, the moments of collapse. You remember what it means to lose your way. And this memory becomes the root of your gentleness. The Buddha did not become a recluse out of disdain for the world. He walked back into the villages with an open heart, barefoot, bowl in hand, ready to teach not by judgment, but by presence. You, too, must walk, not with anger, not with shame, but with the soft fire of compassion. Blank, underscore, blank. Holding the world without carrying its weight. The awakened heart sees the suffering of others, but does not drown in it. Like the lotus growing out of the mud, you must learn the balance. To touch the pain of the world without becoming the pain of the world. This is not detachment. This is the deepest form of connection. Because you now see others not as broken, but as beings on the path, just as you were. Their lies, their anger, their ignorance, are all clouds. But you see the sky behind them. You no longer argue with their delusions. You no longer fight to win. You simply love them back to life. Blank, underscore, blank. Serving without losing yourself. Many who return from their own healing journey become burned out. They give too much. They lose the stillness they once found. But the Buddha taught, let your giving be like the river, constant, but never depleting its source. You must continue your practice. Continue to breathe. Continue to sit in stillness. Let your acts of kindness rise from presence, not pressure. Give not because you should, but because you are. You are the field. You are the tree that gives fruit, not because it tries, but because it is full. Blank, underscore, blank. Walking softly in a loud world. The world will still be chaotic. People will shout. Anger will rise. And greed, corruption, fear, these still exist. But now, you do not mirror them. You meet them as the ocean meets a falling leaf, with stillness. Let your walk be soft. Let your eyes carry understanding. Let your words be few, but full of truth. The most powerful revolution is the one you do not announce, but live. Blank. Underscore, blank. This is the true return. You are not the same person who once ran from your pain. You are not the same soul that once feared silence. Now, you breathe differently. You see differently. You walk among the world, but not of the world. Your very presence becomes a teaching, a silent Dharma, a light in a world that still forgets itself. You do not need to convert others. You only need to become the presence that reminds them they, too, can return. Chapter 7. The Sacred Mirror. Seeing oneself without fear. There comes a moment on every path of return, when the seeker must look into the mirror, not the mirror of flesh and skin, but the sacred mirror of awakened awareness. It does not flatter. It does not condemn. It simply reflects. For those who have wandered far, lost in pride, guilt, addiction, or delusion, the mirror may first appear cruel. But it is not. It is compassionate in its clarity. The Buddha once said, "Just as a polished mirror reflects all, the wise reflect upon their actions, their words, their thoughts. In that reflection, we see not only our sins, our anger, our failures, but we see also the potential for love, for healing, for peace." The sacred mirror does not show us who we were. It shows us what we are becoming. The mirror of mindfulness. When you sit in silence, aware of your breath, your thoughts, and your emotions, you polish the mirror of your consciousness. What was once clouded by the dust of ego becomes clearer. You see your anger as pain misunderstood. You see your greed as hunger for love. You see your lies as fear's disguise. And slowly, your heart softens. No more running. To face the mirror is to stop running. It is to say, I am ready to see the truth of who I am, no matter how painful. Because I know the truth will set me free. It is here, in this sacred confrontation with the self, that rebirth begins, not in the next life, but in this moment, not as someone new, but as someone true. As the Dhammapada says, better to conquer yourself than to win 1,000 battles. Forgiveness is reflection. When we truly see ourselves, not through the eyes of judgment, but with the gaze of compassion, we begin to forgive, not only others, but ourselves. Forgiveness is not forgetting, it is seeing clearly, and still choosing love. The Buddha taught that hatred does not cease by hatred, but by love. This is the path, to look at your past not with shame, but with wisdom, to bless your wounds, not curse them, to thank your pain for teaching you to heal. Final reflections. The path is always beneath your feet. Dear soul who is listening, if you've come this far, know this, it is no coincidence. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, brings each being the teaching they need at the moment they are most ready to receive it. Perhaps you've wandered far from your true nature. Perhaps your heart has carried the weight of regrets, mistakes, and longing for a different life. But remember this, no one is ever too lost to return. No darkness too deep for the light of awakening to shine through. The Buddha did not come for the perfect. He walked the earth for the broken, the weary, the misguided, the hurting, those yearning for peace beyond worldly illusions. And through his compassion, he left behind the map that leads back to yourself. The teachings you've heard, of awareness, breath, forgiveness, compassion, right action, are not meant to be worshipped like relics on a shelf. They are living practices, meant to be walked, stumbled through, and embraced with trembling hands. You may not change everything overnight, but one conscious breath, one silent sitting, one act of kindness, is a beginning. The beginning of a new life. So when you rise tomorrow, before you touch your phone, before the noise of the world enters your mind, close your eyes and whisper inward. I am returning. I am enough. I will walk this path, step by step, with the Buddha as my guide. And the universe will answer you with silence. Not absence, but sacred, vast silence, the space where awakening begins. Folded hands. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings find the way home. Folded hands. You are not alone. You are already walking the path.